Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Sherry and this is Gardening in the North. And today we're going to be building a chicken brooder. So in about 3 weeks time, we have 20 chicks that are arriving here on our property and we need to get ready. There are a lot of designs out there. If you start looking for a chicken brooder online, on YouTube, wherever you're looking, you're gonna see that there are so many different designs that there has to be one that will fit your needs. So I have been looking for months trying to figure out how I can build a brooder or purchase and reuse material that would work as a brooder and fit our needs. So here in Ontario, Canada, we can't have our chicks outside when we get them 3 weeks from now. It's still going to be too cold. So we're going to actually have to bring our brooder inside. Now, originally, I thought that I could just put them in here in the garage in a brooder. My husband has it set up so that we have heat in here when we need it. And we thought, okay, we'll just leave the heat on for the month that we're going to have them in the brooder, and then we will transfer them out to the chicken coop and let them stay out there for 2 weeks before we actually let them start wandering and exploring. Except that when you have little chicks, you need to provide them with an area that is, the temperature needs to be about 90 and it needs to be draft free. So having them in our garage is not going to provide that to them. And the reason I say that is we have so many projects on the go right now that my husband and I are constantly opening up the garage doors, and those little chicks would be filled with drafts nonstop. So that's not going to work for us. So I finally realized that I have to bring them inside the house. Now we are going to be bringing them into our living room. The reason that we're going to bring them into that specific room is that it connects to the dining room, and both of those rooms have doors that I can shut so that our little predators that are running around here in the house are not going to be able to get at them when we're not there. Now, we are going to have a lid on our brooder, but I just wanted to make sure that every night I could shut those doors and I know that they'll be safe. So let's talk a little bit about brooder ideas. So I have been searching Facebook Marketplace nonstop for the past couple of months trying to find a livestock trough, because I thought that if I could find a big enough trough, then I could use that as my brooder, and I could use something like this. This is just one of my drying racks that I use my onions and beans on, and I could just put 2 of these over top of that to keep them safe from our predators. But they're so expensive and it's not really fitting in with what I want to spend. So then I started thinking, what about a dog crate? Right now I have a large dog crate in my dining room, and all of my onion seedlings are in there, and they're nice and safe, again, from our predators. And I keep saying predators because our cats will eat my seedlings, and I know that there may be some interactions between the cats and the chicks. So I'm going to refer to them as my predators. So I thought maybe I would get a dog crate, a larger dog crate than I currently have, and I could fill it with some cardboard and put everything in there that the chicks need. And again, I could place that into my living room and they would be safe. Except that I can't seem to find an extra large dog crate for less than $100. And I don't want to spend $100 on a dog crate that I'm probably not going to use again. So that's not an option for me either. So I really started to think and finally landed on us building our own. Except that I want to use some of the material that I already have, like these drying racks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 of these drying racks for the front of the box. I'm going to use the other 2 drying racks for the lid so that we can see what the chicks are doing from the front of the box as well as the top of the box. Now, the two sides and the back and the bottom will be plywood. So we have purchased one sheet of plywood. I think it was about $35, and that will work for the whole thing. The great thing about using the plywood is that when we're done with the brooder, I'm gonna need these again at the end of the season to dry my veggies. So we'll take the brooder apart and my husband will have access to that wood for any projects that he's working on. And so I feel like building this brooder is not going to be a waste of material. So let's get started. We're gonna start cutting the wood, start putting it all together. Oh, I should mention the size of brooder that we're doing. So it is going to be 5 feet long by 2 feet high, 2 feet deep. So we should be able to use one sheet of plywood for the whole job. Let's get going. That this particular project has been the easiest for me. And maybe a little bit of that is because my husband built it and I just kind of supervised. But the idea was mine. I guess that's the most important piece. So not only was this project really easy to put together, but it took us less than an hour to build a brooder, a chicken brooder, and less than $40 to build this. Now, we did use a lot of the materials that we had on hand and made the material dual purpose. So right in front here, as I mentioned, these are my drying racks that I use to dry out onions, garlic, beans, anything like that. I usually throw them on here and dry them up. Same with the lids. The lids are my drying racks as well. The hinges that we're using, we had removed them from an old door that we had, so we were able to reuse those hinges. And I added a couple new things to this that you have to see. Let's take a look. Here's the brooder in full view. It is 5 feet wide, 2 feet high, and 2 feet deep. And so one of the things that I want to show you that we've added to it are handles on the ends. Now we had these handles, they were supposed to be put onto my drying racks to make it a little bit easier for me to shake up whatever I have on the drying rack to really move them around to dry them better. And so over here, we've also put 2 on that side, and this made it really easy for us to carry it in. So the other really cool thing about this chicken brooder is that my husband has added these plastic straps here, just screwed to the 2x4 into the drying rack or the top of the box, so that when I open them up, they're not going to lean against my wall and scratch it up while it's in here, but it's also not going to fall on me when I'm bending down to, you know, change the water or feed the chicks. So some of the things that I'm going to do with this particular chicken brooder is, one, I'm going to actually lay a tarp down underneath it so that if any water is spilled, it's not going to make a mess on my hardwood floors. The second thing that I'm going to do is line the bottom of the box with some kind of plastic or waterproof tablecloth or something like that, so that when the chickens or the chicks are doing their business, it's not going to seep through into the plywood, because the idea is to reuse all of these materials once we're done with them. So once I lay down that plastic or waterproof tablecloth, I will then cover it with a piece of cardboard or newspaper, something like that, before I put the wood shavings on top of it, because I don't want it to be really slippery for the chicks. So that's it for my brooder. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and maybe this model or this, I guess, design will fit your needs. Thanks for spending time with me.